Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon, and welcome to yet another deck profile, our second of EX07. If you're liking this content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. On Monday, we had a look at Zaphagamon, the flagship of the Liberator stuff, one of the more exciting and potentially meta-relevant decks from EX07. And today, we're looking at probably the worst deck from EX07. This is NSP, the Nature Spirits, our very first deck catered around the idea of the Digimon family groups. So stuff like Nature Spirits, Nightmare Soldiers, I think there's the Dragon something or other, Dragon's Roar, and you know, all that sort of stuff. I actually, because I've got a soft spot for the shit decks, for the jank decks, Jank Tank, for example, you know, I freaking love playing Jank Tank. Actually, on day of recording, or day of release, sorry, day of release, not day of recording, we'll actually be filming Jank Tank 6, so please make sure to keep an eye out for that. The last Jank Tank didn't do as well as the fourth Jank Tank, probably because we've left it a bit too long between those two Jank Tanks. So hopefully we can get Jank Tank 6 to be a little bit more successful this time around. And we're in for a good one. There's some peak jank stuff going on in that from everyone's deck lists. Friggin' love it. But yeah, anyways, on to NSP, which may very well make an appearance in Jank Tank once we've got the physical cards in the UK. NSP is kind of a bit of a mess. As you can see, this is a deck that it's multicolored. So you can't really play any generic searches like training cards or memory boosts. You have to try and find more creative ways of doing these things. So, you know, and this is what I've kind of come up with. So let's go into the card by card, starting with the eggs. We've got 4 of the promo Wanyamon. Obviously the blue egg in EX07 was used up by Hexablau, so they decided to make a promo for the NSP egg, just to make sure that they had something they could all digivolve off of, which is very kind. I mean, technically all of the rookies can digivolve off of green, because these are all of the rookies for NSP at the moment. These 8 cards. Ukomon is just here for the lols. But it is nice and generic, this Wanyamon. It is just, if this Digimon has the NSP trait, draw one. Simple as that. Only one Digimon in this entire deck doesn't have the NSP trait, and it's Ukomon. And Ukomon, you know, he gets a search off, so it doesn't really matter. I've also put one of the BT7 Koromon into this. Reason why, reveal the top card of your deck and place it at the top or bottom of your deck. It just helps us slightly with some of the plays in this. So when it comes to your level 6s, the Ebidramon in particular, you're taking stuff at the top of the deck so you can play stuff out. So if you can potentially kind of make sure you know what's on top, you know, it's just nice and handy. It's why I did look into whether or not you could kind of splice some of the Nature Spirit stuff with like Green Gacha, so maybe like including stuff like Digimon and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it just doesn't really work. I mean, if you could make this like entirely green, then maybe. But so much of it is all of the effects kind of work off of, you know, oh, we're playing out a Nature Spirit, we're doing this with a Nature Spirit. You know, all this sort of stuff. There are more generic effects in this as well, but most of it is catered around the Nature Spirit stuff, so you kind of have to keep to itself. But because of the nature of it being a family group deck, we could very well be getting a lot of support in this deck, which is why I'm investing in it early. Because I do think, and you know, but by proxy of it being kind of a family group, it could, you know, really kind of see some play. But yeah, this is I'm kind of getting off a track now. Right, so let's go into our rookies. So we've got Otamamon, which actually is an in-archetype Floodgate. Players can't reduce play cost of this, which is actually pretty handy against certain decks, such as Blue Hybrid and Red Hybrid, because it stops them from doing certain cross kind of plays. Then we've also got the Gotsumon, which is just a little blocker and has the inheritable of Reboot, and then obviously 4 copies of the Yukomon just to help us with our searching. Then going to the champions, we've got 4 of the Geckomon, gives us draw 1. when digivolving and as an on-play, which is nice for our consistency. Then also has the inheritable of jamming, which is really nice. Potentially, this is a card that could be used in a lot of other blue decks as well. I could see it potentially being used in Galga, which would be interesting. Just because of the fact that it could draw stuff whilst attacking. Especially because like in Galga, you could potentially put like a Biomon underneath it to give it jamming itself. So that's an interesting idea, actually. That's a very interesting idea. Then we've also got 3 copies of the Monochromon. This is just here because it's very cheap to go into, 1 cost, and then gives piercing as the inheritable. Doesn't actually have any other like on-play effects. Then we've also got the Tortomon, which this is a really interesting card. So it's got blocker. And then opponent's turn, your opponent's effects can't delete this Digimon. So it's actually got protection on it, which is really cool. Then also gives reboot as a generic kind of inheritable as well. Going into the level 5s now, we've got 3 copies of the Shogun Gekomon, which is on play. One of your opponent's Digimon tamers can't suspend until the end of their turn, so really nice for stunning the board. Then also has a your turn effect. None of your NSP trait Digimon's attack targets can change. That's so cool. Literally all of your Digimon on board cannot be blocked, cannot be redirected. I think that's really cool. That's a really, really cool effect. No inheritable, which is a shame. But, is what it is. Then we've got 2 copies of the Triceramon. So this is another kind of stunning card. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and they can't suspend until the end of their turn. Then this one does have an inheritable. When this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top security card. So that's really nice. There's not a lot of suspending in this deck, but there is some cards that can suspend. So that will potentially come up. Next, we've got the Jagamon. So this is on play D-Digivolve 1. So this, just like the Shogun Gekomon, does not have a when Digivolving. It's just an on play. An opponent's turn effect. All of your Digimon with the NFCP trait gain blocker. So these two work really well in tandem together if you can treat them both out, which there is a way to cheat them both out. This one obviously acts as your spear because you're able to not be redirected, and this one acts as your shield because you give everything blocker. It's really cool. Then we're going into level 6s. Now I've kind of wondering whether or not I should swap the ratios with these a bit, but I've gone for 4 of the Saberleomon, and I've gone for 3 of the Eldoradimon. Reason why I'm potentially thinking of going 4 is because the Eldoradimon is so important to the strategy. I mean, my goodness, it's so important. You literally need it. On play when Digivolving, it's got blocker natively, which is nice. You reveal the top 4 cards of the deck, and then what you do is you play up to 7 play cost total worth of Digimon cards with the NSP trait among them without paying the costs. You return the rest to the bottom of the deck, whatever. Then end of the turn, 2 of your Digimon may DNA Digivolve into an NSP trait Digimon card in the hand. That's so good. Then our other level 6, we've got Saberleomon Ace. So this is 7 play cost. It has an on play when Digivolving. One of your opponents, 2 of your opponents suspended Digimon get minus 8k, which is really nice. And then when Digivolving, when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then if they have no unsuspended Digimon, this Digimon unsuspends. So nice aggressive card as well. Potentially, which is really, really good. It's why I kind of put 4 copies of this, because we also need to be able to mill this off with the Eldorado effect. So that's why I've kind of gone 4 of this, but you could very well swap the ratios with these 2. Then we've got 3 copies of the Tlalokmon, who is our big boss monster, who ironically is smaller than both of the Digimon that he DNAs into, I'm pretty sure. Now what he does is when Digivolving, you may play 1 Digimon card with an NSP trait and a play cost of 7 or less from your hand without paying the cost. If you're DNA Digivolving, it's 2 of those Digimon with different colours that you may play at a play cost of 7 or less from your hand without paying the cost. So that's really, really cool. So you can just cheat out both the Shogun Gekomon and the Jagamon. Do some nice little cheats there. It's really cool. Then it's also got a when Digivolving and when attacking. Once per turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7k for the turn for each of your Digimon, which gets absurd. If you've got a really wide board, in testing, the most I ever did was minus 42,000, which is insane. The only issue I have with that effect is that it does target a singular Digimon. It makes sense in my head for something to do that if it's kind of more DP in one shot. I mean, obviously it stacks because of the amount of Digimon you've got, but like take Takami Kazuchi for example. That just does a blanket minus 16k on 1 Digimon. That pretty much clears anything in one shot. You don't need to go any more than that. So this kind of goes a bit excessive because it's then going, oh yeah, I've minus 42k on something. But you don't need that. I mean, in what world is any Digimon getting up to 42k? It would be so much better if this was the kind of like a Heaven's Judgment like effect, where you could spread it around and use it as like a board wipe potentially. And you know, I don't think that's that busted. Yes, it's a DP minus, but you've got other level 7s that can kind of do a board wipe, like Galamon Crimson mode, for example. You know, and you do have to work to get into this card, so it's kind of a shame it's not a wider area of effect, but you know, it's still funny for the memes. 42k, need I say more? Next we go into the Tamers. I've got 2 copies of Davis. He can search the majority of cards in this deck, the blue and the green stuff. Obviously can't search any of the black cards, which is a shame. But he can search pretty much everything else and acts as a good memory tamer, so he's pretty decent. We've got 4 Analog Youth. This is just in here as a generic search. We have no sort of trash recovery, so it's a little bit dicey sometimes, but there's no other generic searches we could use, really. I did toy with, it's a non-tamer, but we could, you know, using blue card, but I didn't like it. Then, speaking of options, we've also got 2 copies of Heaven's Judgment to help us with removal, so this will help us with the wide boards that Tlalokmon unfortunately can't help us with. And then we've also got 2 copies of Mega Digimon Assembly, and the reason I've done that is because if we can't cheat out something with the Eldoradimon from the deck, then potentially we can use this to DNA into our Tlalokmon using the Saberleomon in hand or the Eldoradimon in hand, vice versa, you know, either way. So I think that's a really good inclusion in this deck. I was really tempted to possibly put in Ultimate Chaosmon, could be really funny in this deck as well, actually. But obviously the main thing is Tlalokmon, so but possibly a test thing. But let's go jump into a match. Hopefully we won't go up against anything too good, and we can properly showcase this deck in action. So see you in a second. There we go. So we're in. Do we want to keep this hand? We're against J. I'm going to mulligan it, actually. Yeah, that's decent. Oh, he just passed turn. He just passed turn. Apologies if there's a jump cut when he passed turn there. I sneezed. Right, so what we're going to do is we are... Do I want to build up in the raising? Let's do this. I'm going to go 1 into Ukomon, as much as I'd like the egg. And then I'm going to go 3 into Otamamon. Just as a little floodgate, potentially, against whatever I'm up against. Ooh, we're up against Centralmon, are we? Yes, we are. Okay. This should be interesting. I don't know if they do any play cost reduction, so this might be fairly redundant. Oh, jeez. Yeah, sorry, I'm very gross on the camera at the moment, but I need to I need the content, man. I need to do it. Right, so we're going to move up Ukomon. We're going to grab Eldoradimon. And put the rest to the bottom. We will then hatch. Not that we have got a rookie to hatch with. We'll then go, nice and simply, I'll just go into Geckomon for 2. Because that will give us a cheeky little draw. Nice, there's a rookie. Very good. Okay, so I've got their memory tamer out now. Let's see, maybe a problem. We'll go 0 here into Gotsumon. Let's do some swings. I'm gonna pray they don't have any aces. Okay, and then do I swing with this? Does have the jamming, so that could be useful. Let's do this. And we... Oh yeah, it doesn't have a when digivolving. Never mind. I was thinking to myself, yeah, we'll stand it. I'm so used to things having when digivolving effects, I kind of forget this doesn't have one. So this is just here. It's kind of, again, the awkward thing, because we don't have when digivolvings on some of our Digimon, which just seems like a really odd choice. I know they've got these really strong your turn, opponent turn effects and stuff like that, but at the same time, it'd just be really nice to, you know, just play normally. Just gonna hope that this doesn't die. Well, let's get -3 on it. -6, in fact. It gets -6. Wow. 3 or more Digimon, it's a further, yeah. Wow, that's bad. Oh yeah, this is dying. This is so dying. It's so dead. Yep, there goes my Gekomon. That is unfortunate. I think we probably just want to end the breeding there. I just want to try and be a bit safe. So I'm going to go into Monochromon, for one. I'm going to go into Triceramon. And then... it's going to leave him on 4, but I'm going to go Davis. Why not? Might get... There he is. Tlalocmon. So we're going to add the Gekomon and add the Tlalocmon. Another token. Not a good thing. I don't think they can kill us. Maybe. What can they? Ugh, give rush. Ugh. Blech. So I've got 3 swings. I'll be able to do a 4th with overclock. So I don't think they're going to kill me. But I also need a way of not dying myself. Oh, analog youth. Noise. We are adding... Do we have any... We've got a couple of rookies in hand. I'll add the Gekomon. Why not? Oh, excuse me. Now, it's not like that's going to have rush. But they are going to be able to do my final check, which is not ideal. So we're going to have to pray we get a Jagamon. And we get a nice big juicy board. So there you go with the overclock. Another Davis. Another search. Whiffs on that one, which is not ideal, but you know, is what it is. Right, we're set to 3. Let's push on up with Triceramon. Right, we're going to go into Eldoradimon. Nice, good Jagger. Even nicer, nice. Alright, so we're going into Sableamon. Put the rest to the bottom. Sableamon -8 on these 2. That's fine. Then we'll go 2 into Analog Youth. I mean, they're going to go to 3 anyway, but might as well get another search off. Why not? And we'll add the Tortomon. I don't think I really need the Yukomon at this point. Then we're going to use the DNA. Go into Tlalokmon. Select this one. Select this one. Then we're going to play Digimon. And the ones we're going to go for are Jagamon and Shogun Gekomon. We get to do this. De-digivolve that. Do this. Choose for this to not suspend. So no rush for you. And then cheeky little minus, what, minus 14? Is it all of your Digimon or is it just for each of your Digimon? No, that was minus 21. So yeah, we're still in this. We're still cool. We're still chilling. We just gotta try and not die. So this is it. Once Nature Spirits kind of sets itself up, it's actually kind of spooky. It's getting there, though. It's one of those decks that's got to get there, which is a problem. So we go to 3. Let's go over here, and we'll Digivolve into Otamamon, just so we've got an extra body. Then let's head on in with Tlalokmon. Hopefully we don't die. Cool. So don't have jamming. Then as much as I want to use these, I feel like we need as many blockers as possible. This has reboot, which is why that was safe. Whereas these didn't have anything at all. So I'm not going to attack him with those, as tempting as that would be. Instead, we're going to set up another blocker with Tortomon. Obviously this has blocker anyway, but you know, whatevs. Whatevs, bruh. So let's see what they're going to do. So they're going to go into this, is it Shushumon? Also, the nice thing about going into this one specifically is this has blocker anyway, so if this does die, we still have at least one blocker. And we do have the Saberleomon Ace to potentially punish any attacking stuff they might do. All we've got to do is survive this turn, and we win. So they are going to give Rush. That is completely fair. Okay, so going into Sendrilmon. Play out a token, so they're going to -3 on something. Delete that. Now the overclock is potentially an issue. Oh, that's using the overclock now, isn't it? That is now currently using overclock. and they've not suspended. So now deleted that, so now I lose most of my blockers. We're going to go here into Sableamon. I'm going to choose to suspend this. Give it -8. And then block it with our Tortomon. They both do die. Which is not ideal. But I don't think they can overclock again, so we survived that turn. The only annoying thing is now we can't kill them. Apparently we didn't need to. I was saying that we could have attacked him with this to get the trashing and the piercing. So yeah, no, we had game. So we beat Jay. We unfortunately didn't get to finish the game, but I think we'll leave it at that because it's already quite late for me recording, and that probably couldn't have gone any better than NSP. I mean, ignore the 0 security, just ignore that. It says you win on the screens, therefore that doesn't matter. But clearly they've had enough. So like I say, what we could have done in that instance is we could have smacked into this minus this whilst we're attacking in. We then have trash and piercings, so that'd be 2 checks. Then the Sableamon could potentially go in, do the last check, or the Otamamon would go in and do the last check. Probably safer to do the Otamamon just in case of overflow, and then obviously we'd get game. So yeah, really, really nice. We managed to survive that. NSP, I think, is a deck that is going to surprise people how good it can be. It's just not going to be very consistent at being very good, but I like it, and it's one of the only decks that I was really properly interested in from EX07. So but yeah, that's the deck. Let me know if there's any improvements you think I could make to it, or indeed if there's other decks from EX7 you'd like us to cover. You know, obviously NSP is not highly on everyone's list, but it's one I've been testing, so I wanted to share it, and I don't think a lot of other people will be focusing on NSP as of EX7. Though saying that, and bearing in mind this is coming out on Wednesday, so this may have happened if I predicted this. I watched Avolt's box opening, and he opened a lot of NSP stuff, including like an Alt-Art Talalok and 2 Alt-Art Sableamons. So he might make an NSP deck. But you know, other than him, I kind of doubt it. So we might be the only NSP deck profile next week. Well, saying that, it's the internet. There's probably loads of people doing it. I'm rambling. It's late at night and I'm rambling a lot. Anyways, like, subscribe, ding that notification bell if you would, please. Very much appreciate it. Trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, so that would be really nice if we do. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video. So, but until next time, keep it digital.